All right. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the United States. We would like to welcome you to another segment of the Bill Guston Humpday Hangout, hosted by myself, Clark Lamping from the Clark County Fire Department. And we've got ourselves with us Jimmy Davis today. Jimmy, say hi, please.
Hi, good morning and afternoon, wherever you're at. Hello and welcome to the show. Glad to be here, Clark.
Jimmy, how's Chicago this time of year?
Well, Mike, not as hot as Phoenix, but we're going through endless days of 90 degrees, high humidity, high call volume, just beat up. I'm ready to probably jump in a refrigerator sometimes just to cool off, but nothing compared to what you're going through, Mike. So, yeah.
And that just makes people crazy, doesn't it? That high heat you get right. I know we see in Las Vegas, we see a dramatic spike in road rage incidents in the summertime. The heat just makes people absolutely crazy. They lose their mind and they just start killing each other.
Yeah, Clark, I couldn't agree more, man. You run a very short fuse when it's really hot,
Well, uncomfortable, can't sleep at night. Yeah. Yeah, and then we have old Chief Dan Shaw. Chief, how are you doing today, brother?
Good, brother. How you doing?
I'm good.
Good to be here. Always a pleasure. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
What's new in your life right now?
Just wrapping up some classes and then doing some traveling with my sons for college. My youngest heading off to college, but yeah, all good, man. Just enjoying this high humidity that just makes you angry when you walk outside.
Yeah, just gobbling up that retemment pay, aren't you? That pension. Good for
you.
Yeah. Good for you. Now, before I introduce
trying to get toupee.
Yeah, toupee. Before I introduce our next guest, I'd like to just say hi and thank Key Hose for always being a solid brother in the fire service and always supplying all of the hose we need for every single training I've ever been on. It's Key Hose that we're using. They show up to everything all the time, and they are frontline fire hose suppliers, best in the United States for sure. And we absolutely appreciate everything Key Hose does for us, our cadres, and the American Fire Service. That being said, I'd like to introduce Mike Connor from the Phoenix Fire Department. And we're going to talk today with Mike about using drones and different kinds of technologies to improve the way we do business. It's not super new, but it's pretty new. And the reason Mike's here is because Mike is really, he's going to talk about it, but he is really front line with this stuff. And Phoenix Fire has embraced this stuff, unlike Clark County Fire, unlike Chicago Fire, where Jimmy's going to talk about. But yeah, with that being said, Mike, go ahead and introduce yourself and give us a little bio, and then let's move right into it.
Perfect. Hey, thanks for having me. So yeah, Mike Connor. I've been with I'm Phoenix area. I'm with Gilbert Fire and Rescue, basically right in the Phoenix metro area. But we do everything with Phoenix. We're all part of one big auto aid system here. I've been here for working on 24 years, and it's crazy when you start talking about drones and tech. Like, would have never even thought. I mean, none of this stuff existed back when I was going through the academy. To think we'd be sitting here talking about this now is kind of crazy. But yeah, so I run the Special Operations Division. Been doing that for a few years. Under Spec Ops, I have the hazardous materials team. I have all the SWAT tactical medics, anything tech related. And then I had this idea for a drone and morphed into a drone and ground robotics program back in 2020 and was able to do that. So I run that team too. And then anything tech related, they kind of run through my division. So yeah, honored to talk about this stuff. Like I said, it's changed a lot in 25 years. It's changed a lot in the last 5 years. So it's nice to be able to talk to people and get the information out because the stuff's getting really popular out there. And I definitely think it's here to stay.
Now, Mike, and I apologize for accusing you of being with the Phoenix Fire Department.
Phoenix is great. I love Phoenix, and we do everything with them. So good to go.
All right. How did this program start? How did you guys get on board, and how did you convince the people that are cutting the checks and the firefighters simultaneously that this is what we need? How did this run us through this for any agencies out there who have heard about this and are wondering how to get this program started, please?
Perfect. Yeah, we're in fire department. We're late to the game with this. The cops have been ahead of us. PD started a lot with, when the drones first came out with some accident reconstruction, some stuff like that. So with me, I was out at our South Battalion out there as battalion chief. Mesa Fire out here in the valley. So we're one system out of Maricopa County. We border Mesa, and we got Tempe, Chandler, Phoenix, all these cities, and then to the west side, we all run in one automatic aid system. It's a really unique system. We all have 6 academies. We all have to go through. You have to go through one of those 6 academies, but we're all GPS dispatch. So borders don't exist out here. Different colored trucks, names on the backs the same, but we all train the same. So Mesa Fire was first to the game in 2017 looking at drones. Their spec ops started looking at a drone. They came out and they showed that they had this monster FLIR camera they were putting onto this thing. And I just thought it was one of the coolest things that I'd seen. And then they talked about a drop system, and they were dealing with some search and rescue up on some of the mountains. And hey, this drone was going to be able to fly a radio up there, fly a bottle of water up there. And so they started trying to get that off the ground. And I was like, hey, this is great. And then I asked, like, hey, is this something we could look at? And it was kind of a hard no. Because if you go back kind of like 2016, 17, 18, and even before 2020, drone kind of became a bad word. Drones were spying on people. There was a lot of misperceptions about them. But in 2017, I got told no. In 2018, I asked again, and I got told no. And then in 2020, I got moved into special operations, and I had this idea. And my mistake that I tell everybody, because we end up helping a lot of people build their programs, is I was asking for a drone when I should have been asking to build a drone program. And that was the key to that. And so in 2020, I finally got told, quit asking for drones, build me a program. And so that's what we kind of did. And the thing is, when you look at drones, there could be a lot of danger there. You're putting a heavy piece of equipment up in the air. We look at it as aviation program, not toy. So that's the difference. So in 2020, came up with this idea, built kind of a crawl, walk, run program, pitched it and got it passed. And then that's where we started. And I was fortunate enough at the same time, again, here in the Valley, we have something called the ROC, the Regional Operating Consistency Committee, where everything kind of runs through of what the Valley is going to do. And I got hooked up with a great friend of mine now, Division Chief, now Deputy Chief Dan Cheatham over in Phoenix, who was at the same thing. He wanted to build the drone program. We hooked up, and then we kind of went through the rough waters together of building our program simultaneously. And that's pretty much it. I got incredible support once I built the program. And it was like, hey, let's start off with one. Let's see if you don't screw this up. And so the thought was, I'm going to completely micromanage this program, because once you start working with the FAA, you get the license. And it's like, the one thing I don't want to do is mess this up and have to do an FAA reported thing. And then so kind of like we do with a lot of programs is plant the tree, water it, get those roots deep. And once you get those roots deep, they can't take it away type of mentality. And that's pretty much what I did. And we had some wins right off the bat. We got some early wins. It really showed the use case. And that was kind of what was, we caught a couple fires that probably would have rekindled with a thermal imager off of the drone. And I started working for a lot of the investigators. Hey, how can I help? And then the support from senior staff, the fire chief, my boss, up to city council and city manager was absolutely incredible. We kept showing wins. And then I would do every dog and pony show you asked me to do. You want me to come out and do a demo? I'm there. And anytime I could show that program, that's how and I've been able to do all this without grant funding. We've been everything through general fund, which has shown the support, and where we were light years of where we are. And we really are making a massive difference out there. So that's kind of the evolution of our program, and my mistakes of drone versus, hey, building a program, get a really strict SOP, get the team together, watch it, grow it, and then just keep going out there and then highlight your successes to show we're making a difference with this.
That's fantastic, Mike. Fantastic. I want to touch on a couple things you said. First of all, that regional, what was the regional training called? The ROC?
So we have the ROC, the Regional Operating Consistency Committee. So it runs out of Phoenix, and everybody has you come over there. It's everything from how are we going to ventilate roofs to EMS products to everything runs through there. And they created an emerging technologies committee off of the ROC. And then that's where they started throwing drones into there. And that's kind of how I got hooked up with my buddy over in Phoenix to, hey, let's build this program.
And that's all from Brunacini, right? He's the one that started all that, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah.
No, you're right on. Him and a chief from Glendale created basically the automatic aid system. the story goes back that they created it in a bar on a bar napkin because it was like, hey, why are we stopping at borders and then mutual aiding stuff? And then why are we wasting money building fire stations across the street from each other on bordering cities? And Brunacini was a genius, and that's where that auto aid system came up. And then you had a guy over in Phoenix who created, the story goes back that Chief Brunacini went to one of his very smart guys over there who had a lot of military experience and said, hey, he built AVL. So he created AVL. And then that's how we basically have 2 dispatch centers now here in the Valley that are dispatching, one in Mesa, one in Phoenix, that are doing, I think we're covering 6-7 million people here in the Valley with all the departments and everything down to contract purchasing, power and purchasing to the automatic aid it's an incredible system. And literally, like I said, we cover everybody. So you don't have multi-million-dollar fire stations across the street from each other, and the citizens are the ones who benefit. So,
yeah, that's amazing. I think everybody in the United States of America is enjoying the shade from the trees that Alan Brunacini planted.
Absolutely. He was a pioneer and he's missed greatly.
Yep. I think we have a topic for our next hump day. What do you think, Jimmy? And just to get everyone to put their egos away and operate like that. So back to you, Mike. When the program started, what did you think? This is what we're going to do with the program, and how has it evolved, and how are we using it now? And are you using it in any ways that you didn't think that we were going to use it, or anyone else like, wow, I can't believe we're actually doing this with these things now?
Yeah, absolutely. The evolution, it's a great question. It's amazing. It literally started off with one little tiny drone that went out there that the crews had left. I was there with the investigators. It was Thanksgiving Day. I had my family not happy because we had a fire kick out, and I responded. And I'm like, hey, figure Thanksgiving, you figure it out, because I want to take the first call out with that drone. Got out there, and the crews are gone and running that thermal, and the resolution on these thermal cameras on these little drones are better than our handheld ones on the truck. And investigators going through, and man, I caught a little tiny flicker of something, and I'm like, ooh, I think we got a hot spot. And I get in there and I found that, and then we were able to, I videoed that, and we were able to, get the crews back out. We get all that stuff taken care of. But I was able to show that, hey, this is what the drone went up there. I took a bunch of great photos for the investigator, caught that. And then that was the evolution of basically, okay, here we go. And we started off where, hey, we're going to start off just supporting the non-emergency stuff. We're going to go out, take photos for the investigator, instead of putting an investigator up on the ladder truck where they've got their camera pointing down, that now we keep that ladder truck in service. I can go out there, take all the photos and videos that the investigators need. It's evolved into, they created me an evidence.com account. So I take that stuff, I upload it, it goes right over to the arson guys, and they do what they want with it. But that's where we got to. And then it was like, okay, let's go out to fires. And the biggest thing was when we first started responding to fires, and we'll go to fires, hazmat calls. We don't do a lot of search and rescue out here where I'm at, but we'll go support the other cities. But the command officers, the BCs, that were basically, hey, why are you here? So in 2020 and 2021, hey, what are you doing here? Why are you here? Evolved to now, a couple of years ago, when I knew we won, was instead of why are you here, it's we're getting on the radio. They're on the radio. How far out are you? And that was where we knew, okay, we're making a difference, because it's basically having, the drones are known as a force multiplier. It's a very cheap equipment. It's like having a helicopter up on every call with FLIR, that we know no one can afford a helicopter up on every house fire. And we've gotten really good about putting that drone up. We exist to broadcast. So that is our main goal, is we want to stay off the radio. We all know how important radio time is. So I don't want my drone pilots up there where they're on the radio all the time. So we have the command van and our BC vehicles all carry iPads. So we exist to send a low latency live feed that they clip it onto the steering wheel, and they can look at that feed, and we work for them. We'll do our standard stuff when we get there. But then they come back and ask us what they want to see. We know it doesn't take long for every command officer. No, you back into a driveway, you back in, you've got a great view for 5 seconds until the ladder parks in front of you, and then they can't see anything. So basically it's just that live feed broadcasting, that it's like, hey, how far out are you? And that's really when we knew when we've won. And so that started off, like the stuff that we're doing now is, nobody has, again, out here, like there's a lot of money invested into the drone program. You can see our vehicle right there. And we were blessed to get this last year. We were running off the back of my F-250 for a long time, bearing through our heat out here. And the program is so successful.
Mike, on this picture we're looking at right here, the minivan, right?
Yep.
So that's where the drone is operated out of, correct?
Yeah, we put this in service at the end of last year. It was about 2 years to get this vehicle, and it's a game changer. I think we've got one of the nicest drone vehicles west of Texas, and you've
And
got
where do we
basically
put this on scene, Mike? Is this going to be in or close to the command post? Are you going to have face-to-face communication with the IC and him telling you, give me a picture of this, give me some video of this, something like that? Or are you working somewhere independent?
No, we try to go independent. The biggest obstacle to our drone pilots aren't power lines and birds and trees. They're other firefighters. So we try to get a sterile environment to where if you're up there flying, if you're anywhere, you're going to have 4 firemen over your shoulder bumping into you as you're trying to fly this aircraft. So we'll locate anywhere command wants, but we'll try to get a street over. And the software we use, we can send that live feed right into a command van or right into that iPad. So this is a game changer. This vehicle rolls out. It's a Sprinter van, or it's a Ford Transit van that we've got. You can see in there, we've got basically all the command stations, flight stations inside. All of our equipment's batteries are charged, air conditioning. We got a coffee maker in there. We can go up and set up, and the pilot are sending that live feed in there. The back of this van opens up, and we've got a monster 55-inch TV on the back there that we can come up on. If command wants to come up, they can come up and look at that. But the vehicle has been an absolute game changer because we have the live feed. We can bring up weather. We can bring up our drone sense software where we can see our other, basically our air deconfliction will come up on the screen where we can see the other pilots flying around. But the vehicle was a game changer, especially here in our Phoenix 4 months a year when we're above 110 and we're trying to stand outside and fly these things. So that vehicle was, man, I wasn't sure if we were going to get it. And the success of the program basically justified that the city council, fire department, senior staff said, get them this vehicle because we're doing so much good out there.
Now, Mike, how many people are involved with the drone program? Do you call the operators pilots? How many pilots do you have? How much training do those pilots have to go through? And then I'd like to hear from Jimmy Davis some issues he's having in the city of Chicago with pilots and things like that. And I also want to say it's typical the Air Force guys, right? You tell me you have a coffee maker in your van and you have a 48-inch TV in your van. Typical pilots, right? Typical. Yep. It's like the Air Force around here. The pilots get everything.
Yep. We got black coffee maker. We don't have a latte maker yet. So cappuccino, we don't have anything super fancy, but we can make some coffee with no creamer back there. But yeah, so that's the biggest thing is as we're helping other departments build their programs, what we've learned around the country is you want to treat it as an aviation program because you're putting equipment up in the air at 150, 200 feet plus that if it comes down, it's going to hurt somebody. So these are not toys. We treat them as aircraft and everybody. So we have on our team right now, there's myself and we have 7 other pilots. We've kept our team small. And that's kind of the one thing we're trying to figure out. What we have a response model right now that is a Band-Aid. We're not really sure what the eventual response model. I think a lot of departments are trying to figure out how the response model works because it could get, as you add people, it gets expensive. But so that's our pilots. Everybody, you have to have an FAA Part 107 license, which the FAA license is nice because it takes you have to put some dedication into getting it. The bad part is you can get that license and there's no practical part of that license. So you can get an FAA pilot's license different than a manned aircraft, a fixed wing aircraft. And with the drone side, you could never fly and you could pass and have a license. So that's where we look at the licenses step 1 and we put our pilots through a lot of stuff. We have monthly training. We have at least 2 to 3 trainings a month. We have a lot of pilot requirements for our guys that they have to meet certain requirements or they're undeployable. They won't be able to go out as a main pilot. We have where they've got to have 3 takeoffs and nighttime takeoffs and daytime takeoffs and landings every 90 days. So we really keep those requirements up, which also, again, it can get expensive, but you can, again, it's really have to get the training. We really treat it as an aviation program. Because that's why a lot of people, why don't you just put drones on all the fire stations? And it's like, you've got to treat them like aircraft because anything over $500 is a reportable accident to the FAA. And it's like our ground robot. I bumped the ground robot into the wall and make a dent in the wall. I have a drone come down on a fire call or something, and it's going to be devastating, can really do damage to the program. So it's really a serious thing when you have that up there. We treat them like aircraft, and we want the pilots to have that same mindset. Perfect.
Now I know Jimmy Davis from Chicago. He's got some questions on how these pilots are getting paid. Are they in a different pay scale, and how you made that happen, because they're having some problems in Chicago with that. And also, I forgot my other question, but go. You got anything, Jimmy?
Yeah, just to add to your, Mike, very interesting stuff, man. Really good stuff, right there. CFD, a lot of great minds. We try to embrace technology as fast as we can. We do fly a helicopter. It has the flare on there. But as you know, Mike, it's much cheaper to fly a drone than it is a helicopter. I don't know what it is per hour, but it's rather expensive. The department invested into that. And I think the big sticking point with that is trying to really come up with policy. Number one, what are your uses? How do we use the personnel? And it says we do have pilots, all right, they have a pilot license on the job. What are you going to be using it for? And then the staffing for it. Is it going to be something that is going to be staffed all the time? Is it going to be a special call? Is it only going out on fires or at the request of incident commander? So these are just some of the examples that we're just trying to wrap our head in and learn from. What a great person to learn from is you on that too. I did wanted to mention we're on that topic, and before I forget that, do you have a team? I imagine looking at your van and your deployment van, that's something where they're going to be pulling guys off of fire companies to man that, or is that manned 24/7, 365 by somebody other than yourself or yourself?
Yeah, and that's the future. That it's not right now. That's the goal. The goal is to get that vehicle manned 24/7, 365, and that's what we're working towards right now. And I think on the fire side, at least out here in Arizona, and I also sit on a national robotics working group. Everybody's trying to figure out the deployment. So what we do is we run that. So out of special operations, I've got myself and I've got people assigned to me in special operations. So a call comes in during the day. They'll respond over, take the van. At nighttime we'll do a call out. We have pilots on call out, but we won't pull people off trucks. We definitely won't down any kind of staffing by pull somebody off of trucks to do that. So we're responding kind of as a day staff right now, and after hours is kind of a call out. We'll put, hey, we've got a working fire over here, and then we'll respond over, get the drone, get the van, and get it over there. The downfall to that is we want to get on scene quickly, and basically this model doesn't get us on scene quickly. In the evening, we get there and we do a lot of good work, but that is the plan, is how do we get it there quicker? So we're working towards that. And I think we'll talk hopefully sometime about the future. Like we have drones as first responders, which is going around. The DFR program is the future of what's coming to all this. But yeah, right now, Phoenix is doing a fantastic model. Phoenix is running Drone One. So they have a vehicle that they have up 7 days a week. And I think they're running it during the day for, like, I think it's 6:30 to 4:30 something. So they have that staffed with a pilot and then a visual observer. So there's two people staffed on that. And they need one vehicle is not enough to cover the city of Phoenix. So they're doing all that they can. It's running all over the city, but it's basically building data. Drones this stuff is so relatively new to the fire services. We're all building data to show we can make a difference. We're worth putting money into. We're staffing this. And so Phoenix is doing that. That's what I'm hoping to do next, is to get our vehicle staffed. But again, Phoenix right now, they go down at night and there's so many incidents at night. And that's where they're basically, they need to get another vehicle. They need to get that thing up at night. And the future is 24/7, 365, because we can make a difference. And the other thing I'll add is none of us can justify it based off the emergency response. So what we've gotten really good at is justifying the program off of the uses for the non-emergency response. As far as we can go out, we're doing 2D mapping, 3D modeling. We're doing a lot of stuff for pre-plans, incident reviews. We're doing a lot of stuff. So that's kind of how you make your bread and justify your program. Is what are you going to do with, I mean, again, we're not going back to back fires. So it's how do we justify the program? And it's the non-emergency responses. That's where you make your bread. And that's where these programs will be successful. Build up all your stuff for your non-emergency response. That's how you get your equipment. And then when the call comes in, you've got all that equipment to go make a difference on scene.
Interesting, Mike. Thank you.
Mike, what we just had a comment from a chief out of Illinois, and he mentioned how could we use this? It's Chief Hoshfield from Cherry, Illinois, and he was asking, what about these floods in Texas? Do you think is there something that you could contribute to search and recovery efforts? How would that look? How would that look with your program right now? And if you had a Christmas list unlimited, what would you ask for to respond to an incident like these Texas floods? What kind of equipment would you want and need?
Yeah, great question. And absolutely, there's drones going. I've got a friend that runs Austin Fire's drone program. There's absolutely drones. I know Phoenix left their USAR team, I think left last night to head over there. So that is the next. We are trying to now get drones integrated in with all of with FEMA and all of the USAR teams. But you go even back from Texas or go back to the hurricane, like North Carolina with the floods out there, there were drones everywhere. And they're going out there and they're basically marking buildings that have been searched, marking stuff that's underwater. And that's the next big evolution. And that's part of the group that I'm sitting on. I sit on a robotics working group that it's a small team. I was honored to be part of, but on our team is we've got the FDNY, Spec Ops from Boston, Cal Fire, myself, Phoenix, Austin Fire, Scappoose Fire, the chief out of there in Oregon, and the our team, our guys from FDNY are really those experts on how to get these drones out there to a lot of the natural disasters. Unlimited budget, it would be almost kind of doing what Fred Carlson and the guys out in FDNY are doing. When they roll out, they're rolling out with a vehicle that has a supervisor's got a lieutenant on it. They've got 2 to 3 drone pilots, and they bring a GIS person with them. So they're bringing a mapping person so they can go out there, they can fly it, give those cards over to their GIS person. He puts it in, they're making the maps, and they're uploading stuff to any emergency operations center that's out there. It's really unlimited to what you get these drones up there. You can have multiple batteries. We're set up where we can fly 24 hours. We have enough batteries that we can fly 24 hours around the clock. If the equipment will stay up, you can rotate the people. So search and rescue, drones are used all over the country right now for search and rescue. The thermal is absolutely incredible for, again, search and rescue, for water emergencies, for basically property destruction, anything that you're going out and look for. So unlimited budget would be, that's it. A staff team, multiple vehicles. You have to have those GIS people with you because, again, you want to be able to go out, make a map in the field and send all that data up to the emergency operations center so you can have a coordinated search, not be redundant in what you're doing, not waste time researching the same areas, let those people make the maps and get people in command. Like, we've checked this area and we're off to this area. But great question. That's where the FEMA use, the USAR use, the drones they're there and they're coming, they're getting more and more out there to what does a task force standard look like, down to, like, if your drone team, if you want to be basically any kind of a tiered response, here's the equipment that you have to have, and that's being worked on.
Good. Now, Arizona deployed, Nevada deployed last night as well. Did Arizona take their drone with them?
I know the drone one guy, I don't believe went. I know they didn't take the vehicle, so I'm not sure what they took. I know we're trying to get some drones. They have done before. They're trying to get some drone pilots onto those USAR teams. I'm not sure. I don't know if Phoenix does that yet, but that's the evolution, is to either take some of your drone pilots or make sure that you have pilots on some of these teams, because, I mean, the drone's a recon tool. It's a fantastic recon tool, and that's what command wants. That's what the EOCs want. They want information, and the drone is a very easy way to get out there. I mean, Cal Fire is doing the stuff that they're doing with drones is absolutely incredible, where they're getting out there on these big wildland fires, reconning stuff. And you go back not too long ago where drones couldn't be up if the manned aviation was up. And so now the relationship and the professionalism in that UAS community, in this drone community, is now working where we can have drones flying with fixed wing, with helicopters that we can communicate. We can operate in that same specter. We all have the same goal, so we can all work together. So that's the evolution. And really a lot of the stuff with this robotics working group is a lot of stuff I think you'll see is a lot of these disaster deployment. Drones are part of them right now. The next evolution is to make sure we get the training standards right. So we want to have everybody on the same page, which isn't easy nationwide, but we're trying to do a lot of stuff with the IAFF and get some training standards that are out there. So if you have a small department or a large department, hey, we want to start a drone program. well, let's go over, let's get someone from the IFF. Let's look, and if we can get some training standards, here's some very good ideas that you can take and run with, or here's some people to talk to, learn from our mistakes type of stuff. We've made the mistakes. We don't want to make them twice. So it's really, hey, anything we have, my SOP, a lot of stuff out here that I've seen nationally, most of our people in our working group is, hey, here's our SOP. It's not locked. Take it, change the logo, put your name into it. If you make it better, tell me what you made better and I'll change mine type of stuff. So.
Perfect. Thank you. Real quick, Mike, are you aware of any USAR teams that have implemented a drone program, and how close is the Arizona team to having a program?
I know they're out there. I couldn't be specific. I know that I believe that there are some drones attached to the Phoenix team. I know that Phoenix Fire's drone program is so robust that they're some of the best we have around, or they have some of the best pilots around. I don't know if they've incorporated those guys out there into the response yet, but it's a good question that I'll figure out. But Phoenix's team, they've got some of the best pilots here in the state, so they definitely could do it. And again, I know that I think once you get on the East Coast, like the FDNY and some of these other guys, that they are absolutely going out, and they've got, to my knowledge, that they're getting closer than all of it. It's all coming. Like I said, these USAR teams, all of this stuff where we're deploying out, the drone's a tool. Definitely doesn't replace any people. It's just another asset to take out. It's another recon asset that can do a lot. And when you're going out there, and that's what firefighters are good at. We're good at solving problems. Well, here's another tool we can take out to solve a problem. And then on the side of that is you've got a very professional pilot that can keep the safety in mind, and that also can make you the map. And then again, you start to get your GIS people that, we got all the data. What do we do with the data? Well, we've got the expert here that can put it into a computer, make a map, and do all the stuff and send it up to the EOC. So we're getting better at it, and it's coming. I think it's like you and I talked about the other day, Clark, is in 2020, at least here in Arizona, there weren't a lot of fire departments that had drone programs. The cops were way ahead of us. And in 2020, I made the guess that I think in 5 years, every fire department will have a drone program, and we're there now, and we're getting pretty close out here in Arizona. I think it's one of those things that it's, hey, you can get on board now or get on board later. They're coming to our departments once, you might have some senior staff or some roadblocks that maybe have a misconception or misperception about drones that have blocked it. At some point it's coming. I remember a chief a long time ago saying that we'll never do social media. And it's like, that's an ultimate statement that probably not going to happen. And you look at stuff now, and I think drones are the same way, because again, goes back to, why are you here now? Hey, how far out are you now? And it's keep making a difference. You'll keep being asked for.
Perfect. We are at the halfway point, and I'd like to again thank Keyhose, our friends at Keyhose, for always supporting us, no matter what our endeavors are. We do appreciate Keyhose, and so we have some comments. Chief Shaw, I'd like your input on this as an incident commander. Did you guys have a drone program in Virginia? How did you incorporate it? And do you see the benefits as an IC for a program like this?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a great topic. In Fairfax, we did have a drone program. Obviously, I think everyone's ultimate goal is to get to the point where you can have dedicated personnel who run that every single day and won't be interrupted. We ran ours through our hazmat unit, because obviously even the hazmat unit's not running as many calls as one of our engines and other things, or special ops personnel. So for us to be able to get a drone, I would say anyone can get a drone, because when you're in the DMV, especially in the National Capital Region, trying to fly anything in the air, because, we sit right next to the CIA headquarters. We have Washington, D.C. right across the Potomac River. So trying to fly anything is really problematic. But we're able to work around that. And, to Mike's point, like the police, we were relying upon George Mason University Police initially, because they had a drone program and they're able to deploy pretty quickly. But it is an incredibly valuable thing to have. And Mike made a great point, because it's a tool, right? In an incident commander perspective, either you have tools that distract you or you have tools that aid you. And a command board can be both, right? I've seen plenty of incident commanders who their view of a fire is this, because they're staring at a command board the whole time. They never actually look at the fire. And a tool like a drone is really replacing, it's becoming a tool that aids us. It's another group or division. If I make the Charlie division on a fire, it's because I can't see the Charlie division. So now I have someone give me an aerial perspective, and I'll ask Mark to pop up the pictures. So this is from a fire I had shortly before I retired. And this is a single story commercial building that has multiple occupancies under one roof. And the perspective you can see from the street level is all I can see is an enormous amount of smoke pushing out of the roof of this thing. And we didn't know which occupancy it was in because it was cut up. And as I'm sure many of you guys are aware, when a building has a little bit of age, they don't put a new roof on it. They just keep slapping more and more tar on it, more and more things on it. So, it was running somewhere within the roof. And so, Mark, if you can hit the next picture, they brought the drone to me at the command post. And we had two of them up. We had one that gave me the perspective so I could see this. And then the second one that was FLIR so I could see where this fire was. And it allowed us to really, again, gave me another group of division, an aerial division that I didn't have to put a person up there, but I could have that drone operator right next to me at the command post. And, and to Mike's point, this is where the onus is on the incident commander. If you do have this toy and you're walking around, every firefighter is going to stop you and want to see it and play with it because they're like kids at Christmas. But if you have a strong command post and you build that command post and you keep it secure, then it's okay to have it next to me because the only person who was talking to that drone operator was me or my aide to say, hey, can you move it here? Because I'm listening to the radio traffic. I see where the tower ladder, the straight truck is flowing water. And this is where we need to focus. We already had some collapses inside, so we were committed to a defensive operation. But we also didn't want to be there for 5 days, putting this fire out, just chasing through a roof. Let's have a focused effort on what we're doing. So I think it really does come back to, one, it's a great tool if you implement it correctly. You will have the people who want to be the pilots, and they want you to call them Goose and Maverick and get paid extra. Well, yeah, sorry. That's something you have to work through. It's problematic. But it is, just another, asset to have in your arsenal because, once you use it once, you realize how beneficial it is. Then you want to start deploying it more and more. And how can I use them for these things? And the other part of it, too, is that we used it in training environments. So if we were doing live fire training, it was a great opportunity for the drone operators to come out, fly it, look at it, and then we can see what this is. And it's, for me as a chief officer, especially as a chief operations, to be able to sit there with an incident commander who's brand new and say, hey, where do you think this fire is localized right now? Where do you think the largest heat signature is in this training structure we're doing? We still do some acquired structure trainings. And then be able to have a drone to reinforce that. Say, look, what you thought from this ground level perspective that is very singular and very focused, from this aerial view, we have a different aspect. It's a great tool to have in your arsenal. You got to implement it correctly. You got to educate. You got to train appropriately. But I think to Mike's point, like once you do it, and people reap the benefits of it, because it's really it's no hassle for me as an IC. I don't have to operate the thing. It's kind of the heartburn I have with some accountability systems where, hey, here's the iPad for the accountability system. Well, it's another thing I have to operate, or I have to get an aid and have them operate it. This is remote. Someone else is doing it. They're coming up and I'm just asking them from direct information they're provided to me. And then I'm sure Mike can attest to us. Like once you learn the ebb and flow and personalities of your ICs and what they're really looking for, man, that's incredibly beneficial. Like a great dispatcher who's knows what question you're going to ask and already has the answer for it, or is kind of gently prodding you in the direction of, hey, have you looked at this? It's a great thing to have. And if we're not capitalizing on it, we're kind of missing the mark on something that makes the incident commander more and more prepared for the role. Because I always go back to this, and Cluck, you and I were talking about this when we were teaching together. The person we always blame in a late line of duty death or mayday is the incident commander. And then I always look back and go, how many people were on the fireground? Oh, 50 plus. How many were in the command post? 1. So one person's supposed to be able to have the accountability, the wherewithal, all that ability to be able to take all that in, and has no support. So here's another thing that we can give them. That's another measure of support to aid them in that being successful in the command.
Chief, did you ever hear yourself on a scene asking, where's my drone guy? I need my drone guy here now?
I mean, that fire I showed you, I mean, so as the chief of operations, I wasn't getting dispatched or anything, so I could pick and choose what fires I want to. And that was a fire on a Sunday. They were a couple hours into it. And when I got down there, they were doing a lot of hard work because it was just, a task to figure out where this was. And you're trying to do it from the exterior because you have these collapses. So, hey, where's the drone operator? Let's just see what we can get out of this perspective so we're already wearing our people out. And we have plenty of water. We have the equipment. We're just perhaps not putting it in the right place. So let's use this tool to guide us.
Perfect.
Yeah, Chief Shaw brings up a fantastic point. Where he was working is the most restrictive airspace in the entire country, and we use the software. It's, again, the sharing. The one thing with the robots and the drones that I've seen, which is incredible, is the sharing of information. So again, a lot of these national groups we sit in. I sit in another group where they've got the guys from George Mason that run that program. And it shows how supportive the FAA is with public safety. UAS is, I think the first thing they were able to get is they do the Marine Corps Marathon. George Mason flies that Marine Corps Marathon. They get authorization to fly in the most restrictive airspace in the entire country. And that's where the FAA is starting to support it. They're starting to realize that there's some bad actors out there, but they're really supportive of public safety. And that's, again, that area right there in Virginia and George Mason's doing a great job with it. It's everything like that. They're starting to loosen up as we build professionalism across the country in all these programs. We're always one or two bad actors from ruining it for everybody as we deal with the fire service nationally. But again, if we keep doing what we're doing and really protect these programs, the FAA sees what public safety is doing, and they're starting to realize that, hey, you can do more. They'll start to let us do more.
So what I'm hearing you say is, if Chief Shaw can get this on in Virginia, anyone in the United States can probably get this on.
Yeah, if you can put a drone up in Virginia, you are doing something right. The FAA has some trust in you. Yes.
Yeah, there was no black Suburbans that showed up. No three-letter acronym organizations.
And I'm going to have to disagree, Mike, when you say a couple bad firemen can ruin it for the whole fire department. Yeah, I don't think that's an accurate statement. I don't think every single SOP we have on my department has someone's name attached to it, right? So we have a couple questions. Ron Bushwowski says, "Are you operating under Part 107 only, or under a certificate of authorization?"
Yeah, great question. So there's somebody who knows some of the FAA stuff. So yeah, we have both. The FAA has the Part 107. All of our pilots are 107 licensed, and we also have a COA, the certificate authorization that we put in with the FAA. We actually have two, which we recommend most people get. We have the Class G airspace one, and we have a jurisdictional COA, which basically means the entire country is mapped off on an app with a facilities map that shows no one can go above 400 feet ground level or above a structure. So when we go out, we fly out to an area. We had a house fire yesterday. We get over there, and it shows on our map that we have 150 airspace authorization. So I can ask for authorization, or you can fly on it with the COA, which we still get, which we call LANCE, like a low altitude notification. But yes, we do have a COA with you. There are some other waivers that you can get, which we recommend. They have a tactical beyond visual line of sight waiver that says, because right now with your 107, with all you're flying your drone, it never can leave your sight. You have to consistently always have sight of that drone. And the FAA has, like, the beyond visual line of sight is some big stuff that's coming out, but the tactical beyond visual line of sight that they created says that, hey, if I'm flying at a fire and I'm going to take that drone around the Charlie side, that I'm going to lose sight of it and I'm going to bring it back. So there's a lot of waivers, but again, the FAA, they've made 2020, 2019 to get a COA was a lot of work. They're making it a lot easier. They're very public. And my perception has been they've been very public safety friendly. But yes, we have a COA, we have a COA, we have the 107. We still train all of our pilots. We have them all get the 107 license. And then, and then now the next evolution will be looking at with the DFR, the beyond visual line of sight. That's the next big thing that's coming to everybody.
Good. All right. Good question. Thank you, sir. So we don't have a drone program in Clark County. I have a couple experiences with drones. One I was super impressed with. We had a standoff situation, hostage situation. Guy took a couple shots at his girlfriend. Cops showed up. He took a couple shots at the cops. He was boarded up in his place, and we didn't have any activity at all. from them. We had a full response out there, tons of cops. The police had their command post up, and they have multiple drones on the police. So we had our incident commander was in the command post for the police department, and we were in the field waiting orders. And so they thought the guy was going to set his place on fire, and he actually did. So they had the drone above with the thermal imager, and they could show a heat signature. And so what they did is we took out a window. It was an apartment building. We took out a window, and they flew a smaller drone right into the apartment, and they searched the apartment, and they located the assailant, and he had ended up offing himself. But we had visual confirmation now that he was down, and then we were able to enter that building and fight that fire. Without that technology, we probably would have just stayed by and let the whole building burn down because we didn't know if that guy was alive or dead waiting to ambush us. So
yeah, it's a great point, Clark, because the other nice perspective I get is being attached to the SWAT team as one of the SWAT medics and running the SWAT medic team is our SWAT team has had tactical equipment operators. So they have drone and robotic operators attached to the SWAT team. And our guys, I mean, all these SWAT teams that aren't using this, it seems crazy because, I mean, we're out on all the warrants, and every warrant is the Bearcat up in the front yard, a couple flashbangs, an announcement, and then the next thing is basically either an explosive breach or windows are coming down, and then they're flying the interior drones. They're going in there with the team lead looking over they'll fly it. They plugged into an iPad, so the team lead looks over the shoulder. They're looking at an iPad, and they'll clear as much as that house as they can. They'll find out what doors are closed, what are open, see if somebody's down. And then from there, then they're figuring out what the gas plan is, the entry plan is. And then you got an Overwatch drone up. So every SWAT operation out here is interior drones, Overwatch drones, and it's pretty incredible. Even down to, we had another city out here that showed me, I got to see a video that they flew the drone in and they thought the guy was dead and he was laying on his stomach. And when the drone got over him, the guy rolls over and he's got a handgun in his hand. Again, a SWAT operator would have dealt with that as they come in. So recon, we all know we live and die by information and reconnaissance. So that drone is a recon tool to be able to go in there and show the SWAT teams, hey, we cleared all these rooms. Here's 2 rooms left, and it changes their whole gas plan too. It's if that drone can go in, clear a room. For the most part, it can't get under a bed, but it can do a pretty good clearing of that room. And if you've got basically any kind of noise or stuff in those back rooms, that's where they'll start the gas plan too. So they're incredible tools, and we've flown them in after the roof collapses. We have some of the interior drones too. They're pretty fun because they fly a first-person view off of goggles. So we'll set one of our guys down, and we're able to fly through a roof collapse or any kind of unstable, fly that drone in, be able to recon, try to look for stuff. We're taking photos and video, or be able to search the interior drones. It really is that total package. You've got your Overwatch drones. Again, all of our FLIRs are all 360 by 240 resolution that we have on every truck. That the drones we're flying are the resolution 640 by 512. They got even better than that now. So that the thermal the infrared is just absolutely incredible. So the Overwatch drones, the mapping drones, the interior drones, and then you started adding in like the ground robots that we're doing. It's just a lot of ways to get more information to our whole goal is to broadcast, to let the incident commander make better decisions, and then to support everything. Really just a full support system is what we do.
Okay. Are there any drones, Mike, that have atmospheric monitoring capabilities? Mm-hmm. And can you see how that would benefit us?
Great question. This is the Ford Chevy conversation, because you have absolutely, they have basically multi-gas meters you can put on a drone. The Ford Chevy is, you have a group that'll say that the prop wash dilutes it, that it's not accurate. You have another group that says it absolutely is accurate. So that's one of those things that we're trying to figure out. So you'll have literally six or half dozen. No one will give you an exact. The people that believe it's exact say no, it's accurate. The other people say the prop wash is. So that's where we come in with. We also we're running a ground robot, and we've got a ground robot that we can basically run off the van. We can deploy that in there. MSA came out with some cellular-based meters. So I've got now a few 4-gas meters that run off a cell signal. So I can send that thing forward on the ground robot. And basically, if I've got a cell signal that's coming back, I don't have to have a person going forward looking at this. I can run that robot forward, and I'm getting back, COO. I'm getting my 4-gas coming to a computer screen that we can see in the van. So that's the next thing, is figuring out how to attach those onto a drone. But as stuff coming, it's getting better. But yeah, that is I've gone to some incredible classes with some of our like Union Pacific, some of the rail guys that are out there, some of the best hazmat techs in the world are with the railroads. And that's where they're starting to use a lot of that stuff. And again, it's, yes, it works. Other people say, no, it's not accurate. So, but it's, again, another way to get stuff, but that's how we're utilizing our ground robot to take that thing up there, do some air monitoring and go up and do a lot of stuff with that.
Perfect. Now, you mentioned that your own department funded your program, correct?
Yes.
All right. So if we have a department that cannot afford that, can you recommend, do you have any experience or ideas on any types of grants or anything that we can be researching to try to fund a program our own? And what kind of pitfalls and hoops can you address on what's going to happen?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You got to look around. You've always got UOSI's been pretty good with giving grant money out for drones. If you can show the need, again, with the recon, the special events, there's a lot of stuff through the UOSI grants. What we've seen people be very successful is other like private businesses. Walmart has a grant. It's not a lot of money, but as you can start to stack some of these grants, like Walmart will do community grants up to $5,000. You know, we're like here, we have the 100 Club here. We have an organization here that the 100 Club is absolutely fantastic. And you can write up use cases for grant money that we've had some officers that have basically gotten drones off the grants. And as budgets gets tighter, I've been lucky that I've been able to general fund. And I think now we're going to start looking at some grant stuff too, but it's out there. It could be your community grants, your Walmart, your other private businesses. Look at UOSI. The stuff is there. You just might have to work a little bit harder for it. But it's there. And again, you can show the use case. And that's what we say. You can get into a program for relatively inexpensive. Some of these drones aren't a lot of money. And you just need to be able to go out there. And every opportunity I had was, hey, we want to see city council wants a demo. Tell me what time to be there. Exec team wants a demo. Tell me what time to be there. Hey, they're doing a technology summit, bringing that over. Tell me what time to be there. And I've gone out there and I've been able to highlight what we do at every opportunity. We never say no, because I know when those budget packages come across, they remember that, hey, they're doing good stuff out there. I stole the idea from FDNY. They're doing a newsletter. So now we put together a monthly newsletter. It's a one page that gets sent to the fire chief. And every month he gets a newsletter that shows, hey, here's a couple calls, here's a couple successes we had. And at the end of the year, we'll do a longer newsletter, but giving senior staff something to share up and always highlight your successes. We get a lot of successes and sometimes we don't share them, or sometimes they only get shared at the fire station table. But with these programs, if you can highlight your successes and always go out there to help everybody and help other cities, gone over to other cities, and now that's generated we haven't asked for them, it's generated a lot of emails from fire chief to fire chief. Hey, thanks for sending your team over. That's the stuff that pays off, and it pays off when that budget package comes across. So show your city the value, but also get out there. There are grants and other ways, private and other federal grants out there.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Jimmy Davis, questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah. For that, and to you, Mike, and Clark, and the Chief Shaw, that episode on the beach where that woman was caught in a riptide, I believe it was in Florida, where that drone went out and dropped a life vest to her, saving her life. And I'm thinking about what another opportunity if you're a coastal or beach community to use that technology too. And I was thinking, Mike, is there a way to integrate the big influx of artificial intelligence with that? The recent conflicts that we're seeing around the world, they're using drones in warfare and using artificial targeting as part of their battlefield plan. Could that be used using AI to look for anomalies at large-scale incidents, hazmat, active shooters? The list can go on. Do you see those being integrated eventually?
Yeah, Jimmy, you're dead on. It's already been, some of the new drones coming out are starting to look at AI as part of the software to go out there for like the mapping and the modeling, looking stuff. It's absolutely, AI is going. It's a part of it now. It's coming. Remember, a lot of drones are used for utility inspections. We got public safety, but you got the bridge inspections, power line inspections, solar inspections. A lot of the utility companies are flying drones because they can put a drone up to inspect bolts on a bridge that you can't get a person under. and they've got AI algorithms that are coming or may already be out there where they're looking for cracks. So the utility inspections, bridge inspections, the drones are doing, a ton of work that you can't get people to, or it takes a long time to get people to. So 100%, absolutely, that stuff's coming. The other thing you said that was again, you're dead on, is the non-emergency use. How FDNY, I believe, last summer started using, they have their drone pilots down on the beach looking out for sharks. Go onto YouTube, put FDNY drones and sharks that they're sending. They've got pilots down there going up and down the beach that they're doing shark watches, and they've justified the program and they've been successful with that. Again, the non-fire related stuff to fund the program, because you get the pilots, you get the aircraft to go look for stuff like that, sharks, and do mapping. And when the big one comes out, you've got that equipment ready to go. But it's all these different use cases to where they can be used. The stuff's out there. But AIs, I'll give you a funny story. We're flying a fire, and again, we're flying a house fire, and we had a lady come out of a house, and she starts screaming at me and one of the other pilots that she hates AI. And we didn't realize that she was yelling at us. And we're like, I think she's screaming at us and how much she hates AI. And then we're like, well, this isn't AI. So hey, why don't you come over and look? And we showed her the thermal, and she was pretty impressed. And we thought we made a friend. And then she said she hated AI and walked off. But that's the other thing is one of the things I'll say real quick with the drone program is, you got to bring the public in through social media to show them what you're using them for, and more importantly, what you're not using them for. If I've got a drone up at a fire, I'm not spying on backyards, because there's a lot of conspiracy still out there. And here's the good that they're using them for, and here's how we're not using them. But man, great question, Jimmy. All those things, AI, yes, sharks, yes, all this stuff.
That is incredible. That was never even on my radar, using the FDNY drone to spot sharks. And you want to talk about a way to get some public interest and public funding? Absolutely. Start looking for sharks. That's something everyone can wrap it. Everyone's afraid of sharks. And if the FDNY is helping people locate sharks.
Yeah.
I mean, leave it to firemen to bring the revelation to the masses that there's actually sharks in the ocean.
Oh, no way. Don't give me that. You're talking about ruining a good thing, right?
Yeah. My God, I can't believe that. No, man, it's great stuff. I think we're always looking for opportunities to reduce friction and be effective, and how we can be more effective, more efficient what we do. And I think, having something like the technology of drones, Mike's exactly right. Like, once you remove the egos and bias, because people already have a natural bias to it, because the other thing we fought in the National Capital Region was not only the restricted airspace, but the privacy concerns. That was a huge issue. And so that took a lot of education for the elected. Like, we're not doing this. And it's also difficult too, because as Mike said, like, the police are much higher than we are in this technology. Well, they might be doing a lot more that would infringe upon rights than we ever would. So you have to delineate some of that. But I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's we're joking before about social media. Like, I'm not embracing social media. If you're not embracing social media, you miss the mark when it comes to being public information officers. And I think the same is true when it comes to using drones and this technology. Because in the command post, I mean, you are inundated with so much information. You don't have really a large, robust team with you. And so what do? You broaden your span of control so that you can have the ability to command and control effectively because of the people you put into an IDLH. So if I could have another person, flying quotations, that doesn't cost me, a salary, that can give me another perspective that I would never achieve unless I put a person up in a tower ladder or a helicopter, why wouldn't I?
Yeah, it's in the social media, and we're getting in the schools too. That's the other thing for anybody watching online is, get into the schools, the STEM programs in the schools, like all of this science, we're getting, they ask, we come over into the schools, like from the building the drones, all the stuff. It's always a yes. And the social media, we're one of the most popular things when we go on social media, other than the damn arson dog. We can't get as many likes as the arson
Everyone
dog.
loves dogs, man. You're not going to win.
But yeah, schools are another big thing. Get out in the community with these things and the high school programs and all this stuff.
Well, it's an untapped resource too, because we've done a lot with internships, and I applauded our data analytics section for doing it. But they would bring a lot of college students in because they're surrounded by colleges in there, and so you're getting free help, and you're getting a younger generation that might be easier to embrace and educate better than someone of my age or your guys' age, to be able to do that, to bring them in for an internship that they may never even felt the fire department. would be a place they could do an internship with something of this advanced technology, whether it's AI or drones or data analytics. So, that's an untapped resource. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Talking about missing the boat, about 15 years ago, we were driving around and we located this really unique building. And we're looking at this, we were doing 360, we're looking in windows and stuff. It was a Saturday, it was closed. And I said, man, I wonder what the roof of this building looks like. And the 2-year fireman standing next to me gets on his phone and brings up Google Earth and says, here you go, Cap, here's what the roof of the building looks like. And I said, who are you? What is this? What is this Google Earth shit? Are you absolutely kidding me right now? Are you? And
Your Jitterbug didn't have a Google Earth on it?
I said, every single time we respond to a fire, I need you to bring up the picture and send that phone up to me. I need to see the roof of this building before we even get on scene. So that was the drone program 15 years ago, Mike.
Yep. Mike, yeah, now we got on the MCT. We got a Google Earth button right on the MCT that we hit.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know about these two other guys, Mike, but I learned so much right now. I thought this was an extremely valuable conversation. I think we did good today. I think there's a lot of people listening that have answers to some questions and might be able to go to their administration and say, hey, we need to watch this. We need to talk to this Mike guy from Arizona. Can you give up your if you're okay with it, Mike, can you give up any kind of contact information that people can reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. My email or my phone number. What's best, Clark? I can put, if someone wants to type, I don't know if Mark can put my email in the chat or however it works, but absolutely reach out. We'll share everything.
Yeah, whatever we'll give you. Can we make that happen, Mark? I'm not sure, but why don't you just say it out loud right here, Mike?
Okay, so yeah, cell phone is 480-589-5600, or email is basically my name, Michael, Michael .Connor, CONNOR at gilbertaz.gov. Michael.Connor with an OR at gilbertaz.gov. And like I said, we'll send out our SOP, answer questions. Like we were helped, so we're still out there trying to help everybody. So please reach out.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for that. And in closing, thank you, everybody. As always, we appreciate you. If it wasn't for you listening, there'd be no one for us to talk to. Thank you, Chief Sean, Jimmy Davis, for showing up. Especially thank you to Mike Connor today. And take care of ourselves. Let's take care of ourselves, take care of each other, brothers, and looking forward to next month. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you for having me. Honored to be here with you guys.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.